This video contains content that some might find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Have you ever been strapped for cash, juggling odd jobs just to make ends meet? Now, what if a stranger offers you a substantial amount of money to run bizarre errands? Tonight, our narrator takes an enticing proposition that seems too good to be true. I'm Ryan Bergara, and this is Are You Scared? A show where I tell my friend Shane Madej the internet's scariest stories. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and let's see if we could make it till the end of the night. My Sugar Daddy.
Tonight we want you to close your eyes and think of some of life's mysteries. Where is Waldo? Are ghosts real? Who stole the cookies from the cookie jar? One thing that shouldn't be a mystery is where your family comes from. And today, our friend Steven partnered with MyHeritage to learn more than he could have imagined.
Oh, hi! Today I partnered with MyHeritage, a leading global family history and DNA service that makes exploring your family history easier than ever. It's super easy to use, with a simple cheek swab taking only 2 minutes. My DNA results will reveal new relatives based on shared DNA, as well as an ethnicity estimate with a percentage breakdown of my origins across 42 supported ethnicities and 1,000+ geographic regions. In a few weeks, I'll get my results. I'm curious if it will show me being fully Chinese and Malaysian, or something more surprising. While I wait, I'll build my profile and add some family photos. All right, the results are in. Let's check them out. Steven, you are 90.7% Chinese and Vietnamese. Interesting. 5.1% Japanese and Korean. Okay. And 4.2% Filipino, Indonesian, and Malay. Interesting. I'm fascinated by this. Definitely surprised by the Japanese/Korean portion. Nobody in my family has ever told me that I'm part Japanese or Korean, so. And I do know that I am partially Malay, people who immigrated from China to Malaysia. There is some DNA match with some individuals all around the world. Interesting. There are 47 people within a 5th cousin of me. Whoa! The very first person on here is a 3rd cousin. Very cool. My parents and even their lineage is a little bit complicated and confusing. They don't know their family tree up to a certain point either. So it's cool to be able to kind of build that through a DNA test and through MyHeritage. MyHeritage has committed in its privacy policy to never sell or license genetic data. MyHeritage has a promotion right now. Click the link in the description below or scan the QR code and use the coupon code WATCHER for free shipping. Now, back to the show.
My sugar daddy asked me for weird favors. His Tinder profile said he was 45, but he looked to be in his early 30s at most. Looking for a sugar baby, $700 weekly, no sex. I probably wouldn't have considered swiping right had I not been completely and utterly broke. I had friends who'd dabbled in sugaring before. I knew there was always a shitty power dynamic, but fuck it, I was about to graduate with student loans my future children would still be paying off. I swiped. Tinder let me know it was a match, and his message came seconds later.
We're getting right into it, I like that.
Right into the thick of it all.
The world of sugaring.
Is this something you're familiar with?
I mean, I've seen it in films, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know the nuances of it. I can't say that it seems okay.
Yeah.
Let's say you've got no strings attached, right?
Okay.
There's no sex involved.
Okay.
It's just an old gal looking for a young buck,
Looking
you
for
know,
a
to
sugar.
keep her company.
Looking for some sugar.
A little sweetness on the side. Are you gonna take her up on that?
Depends what the rate is.
$7.5 million a week.
Well, I might have to take that.
Yeah.
I might sugar. I'll sugar a
That's
little
nice
bit.
That's a nice
I
little
might
sugar
sugar
in
a
the
lot
pot.
for that.
Yeah, you'll
didn't
sugar
realize-
all night long.
I didn't realize sugaring was a verb, but I'm interested. Cash?
Cash, cold hard cash, delivered to you in a briefcase every week.
Is this an offer? Do you know somebody?
I might.
Hey there, sweetheart. Smiley face. I cringed immediately. Sweetheart. I hated it. But $700 was $700, so I put on my big girl pants and replied, "Hey," winky face. His name was Jack, and he told me he owned his own business, although he never specified what kind of business it was. We messaged for a little before he asked me for my Venmo to send my first payment. After a few minutes, I got the notification. I stared at the $700 for at least 3 minutes, expecting it to poof away as magically as it had appeared. I'm curious what the transaction name was.
Well,
Plumbing.
You got to go private on that one, I assume. I'm private with all my transactions.
Yeah, I don't understand the purpose of social on Venmo.
I don't look at that feed. I check the feed every 2 years to be like, which of my friends are fully insane.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think I've ever looked through the transaction feed because I don't care. Maybe I'll just start posting public transactions of just things that are insane.
Murder.
Lime. Shovels.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Just make it seem as suspicious as possible.
Yeah, you should start doing that and see what happens.
It's a good way to get myself fingered for a murder.
Yeah.
You still there? I clicked on the message. Yeah, sorry, if you don't mind me asking, what exactly is it you're looking for in exchange? I stared at the chat until he replied. I'm just looking for you to do a few favors for me, smiley face. I rolled my eyes. Sure sounded sexual to me. Sounds sexual to me too.
Yeah, he said the word favors, you know.
Well, I mean, he could be just like, can you go pick up my dry cleaning?
I need bread.
Postmates won't let me
Give
add bread.
I always assumed sugaring was like, you just spend time with old men.
Yeah, and you give them the old boink boink and then you get out of there.
Is the boink boink part of it always?
I thought so.
I think some of these old men who are, they just want like a companion.
Get a dog. Favors like what? The first thing I'll need you to do is pick up a delivery for me. That sounded innocent enough, but I was still waiting for the other shoe to drop. $700 to pick up a package? Come on, even I wasn't that naive. From the post office or something? No, I'll send you the address, but I'd rather not do this through Tinder. You got Kik? Or can you give me your number? I didn't have a Kik. What was this, 2011? I made one though, because money is money. He messaged me the address immediately, followed by the address to his house, where I would have to drop off the package. I'm not home right now, but there's a key under the flower pot to the right of the door. Go inside and put the package on the coffee table in the living room. Make sure that you lock the door behind you when you're inside, and lock it again when you leave. You feeling good about this so far?
I'm suspect, it's a little fishy, It's gonna take me, if I'm making some good cash, it'll take me a little bit to turn away from all this.
I mean, he's already paid her.
Yeah, that's nice. I'll go to the house. I want to check out the house. Maybe it's big and nice.
What if you get there and there's no flower pot, but it's just him laying naked, face down, and there's just a flower sticking out of his butt? And that's the flower pot.
Then I've got some questions.
I grabbed my car keys and my wallet, putting the address into Google Maps. Got it, on my way. My phone buzzed as I backed out of my driveway. I'm serious. Locked the door both times. I thought that was a little dramatic, but I promised him I would. The pickup location was an abandoned-looking house with a broken chain-link fence and a small front door that looked like it was hanging on for dear life. In what was otherwise a quaint neighborhood, it stuck out like a sore thumb. You here for jack shit? I looked up to see a man standing in the open doorway of the house. He took up almost the entirety of the tiny front porch, his head just skimming the top of the door frame.
Now, okay, what about this? What if that's Jack?
Oh, and so he's trying to kind of see if this person matches the picture.
Theater of life. So you've got, let's say you're a billionaire.
Okay.
You've got money to burn.
Oh, nice.
And your life is not amusing to you anymore. Okay. Anything you want, you can have it, So what you do is you hire people and you put on these plays.
Yeah.
You hire people to send them through an adventure. People reading lines and shepherding them through these plots.
You could just go to an escape room or something,
No.
Needs to be real.
No, other humans need to be your playthings, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
You make them think they're gonna die.
Okay.
But then you reveal to them that it's all been an act.
But what if they kill you?
They can't.
Why can't they?
Those are blanks in that gun.
But what if they bring a gun?
Then they'll kill you.
He was all height and muscles, with full sleeves of tattoos. I couldn't make out an inch of empty skin on either of his arms. Yeah, I guess I am, I replied, not budging from my spot on the sidewalk. Stay right there, he said. Scary.
Oh yeah, tattoos are very scary, yeah.
Well, when it's like a sleeve.
Anybody with a tattoo scares me.
I'm thinking of getting a tattoo.
Well, I'm gonna be afraid of you.
Nice. I wouldn't have moved if he asked me to. I looked around and realized that there was no one else on the street. This is how I die. doing something stupid for a stranger I met on the internet. My mom was going to be so pissed. I gripped my car keys and tried to remember anything from that one self-defense class I took in high school. A few minutes later, he came out carrying a cardboard box. It was about the size of a shoebox, but stained and damp on some of the corners. "Can you open your door?" he asked. I opened the trunk instead, not wanting whatever was leaking from that box to get on my car seats. He set it inside. "Thanks," I replied. I walked around to the driver's side of the car and opened the door. "Oh, and one more thing," he said. I looked at him. "Be careful." I blasted my music as I drove to Jack's house, hoping it would drown out my anxiety. It didn't. I put my car in park in the stone-lined driveway but kept the engine running while I admired the house. It was huge, with large colonial pillars and the lushest, greenest lawn I'd ever seen in my life. I was even more suspicious about Jack's business now that I'd seen where he lived. I turned the car off and got out. Grabbing the package, I walked to the front door and found the key under the flower pot where he said it'd be. I opened the door and stepped inside, slamming it shut behind me.
Columns, huh?
Columns is pretty nice.
Columns on the outside. Pretty tacky, but
pretty gaudy.
He's probably got one of those McMansions, probably bought it in like 2007. It sort of looks like a Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, exactly. Cheesecake Factory vibes. A little too ostentatious for my taste, but you know what?
They got good cheesecake.
Oh,
is that what you were going to say?
No, I was talking more about the house. I actually don't like the Cheesecake Factory. Too many items on that
I
menu.
went there very recently and found it to be quite impressive.
Gives me anxiety, overwhelming to look at that many items.
Big menu.
There's no way they could make that many items and be good.
No, they do. They're all good.
I didn't realize you were Cheesecake Factory pilled. I thought about what he'd said, about locking the door immediately once I was inside. It seemed like overkill, but as I stared at the knob, something in me thought better, and I reached out to lock it. I stepped from the foyer into the living room, and my feet sank into the thick maroon-colored carpet. All the furniture was modern and sleek and incredibly expensive looking. I was starting to think I should have negotiated that $700 a week. Jack was doing well for himself. I set the package down on the coffee table, and as I walked back to the door, I heard a phone ringing from somewhere inside the house. In my pocket, my phone buzzed. I took it out to look. Don't answer any calls that aren't from Marvin. Who the fuck's Marvin? Marvin.
Marvin's your guy.
Your cousin? Marvin Berry?
What if she picked it up and that's what he said?
You know that new sound you're looking for?
What? I'm sure.
Listen to this! I put my phone back and followed the sound of ringing, poking my head into a few different rooms before I found it in an office. I walked over to the desk and looked at the caller ID. Incoming call from Jack. That was odd. I grabbed my phone to look at the message again. I was starting to get a little creeped out and decided I wouldn't answer, just to be safe, and left the house, remembering to lock the door behind me. Okay, easy money, I muttered to myself as I backed out of the driveway. I've done a few more favors for Jack since then, all of which had me doubting whether he actually knew what a sugar baby was. I drove a BMW to a random park in another city, only to get out and drive a different car back. He had me meet one of his employees at a rest stop, who then gave me a briefcase to deliver to the same abandoned-looking house I'd gone to before, and told me if I looked inside, he'd know about it, like I wanted to. On several occasions, Jack asked me to drive down to that same house and stay with the guy I'd met there, whose name I learned was Julio, for a specified amount of time.
I tell you what, at this point, because all these chores sound annoying, and look, this is just me putting myself. Let's say I'm me.
Your baby.
And I'm doing this for an older woman.
She's mom.
She's right. She's mom. I'm sending her a pic of like my nipple at this point. Just be like, "Are you sure you don't just want me to kiss you? You know?"
Yeah, no, just pick up the stuff, please.
This is because it's getting annoying. You know, hire a task rabbit.
Would you be hurt if you sent her a nip pic and then she just says, "No, could you just pick up my dry cleaning?"
Well, I would be hurt. Yeah. Because it would be a good picture.
She just texts back, "Bad baby."
Bad baby.
Pick up the car. In total, I've made around $3,500, and I was basically an errand girl. Most recently, Jack asked me to stay in his house overnight. I'd woken up one morning to a kick message from him. "I need you to spend the night at my house." I hadn't met Jack in person, but I had talked to him on the phone a handful of times. He told me he would pay me $1,000 to spend the night at his house, provided I could follow a couple of rules. I said yes without hesitating. This is like reverse Airbnb. Someone paying you to stay at their house.
Yeah.
It's kind of sweet.
That sounds fun.
They have a hot tub.
That'd be nice. A lot of them do.
He has maroon-colored carpets. Must be doing well.
Thick, too. You know you're rich if you got thick carpets.
With good foot feel.
Yeah, because you got to like bring in a Stanley steamer for those, and that costs money.
Exactly. My carpets feel like shit.
Yeah, they're really bad.
Thank you.
Your house is disgusting.
Thank you. I drove to his house that evening. The driveway was empty, which was normal, but the light on the porch was on. I walked up, unlocked the door, went inside, and locked it again. Everything in the house looked the same. Jack had told me over the phone that he would leave the list of rules on the dining table. I set my bags down in the living room. My black duffel looked like actual garbage next to his suede couch. I wandered into the kitchen and then to the dining room. Sure enough, there was a piece of paper on the table, weighed down by an empty water glass. Lock the door when you come in. Only answer calls from Marvin. Don't turn on any faucets between 9 and 11 p.m. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. If the door to the closet at the end of the hall is open, sleep in the library. If it's closed, sleep in any of the bedrooms. The gardener comes at midnight.
What the fuck?
What the fuck is this list, dude? If there's a record player playing, don't dance. If there isn't a record player playing, dance. If he starts knocking on the windows, hide. Turn the TV on and let it play on static throughout the night. Do not forget to do this. Help yourself to anything in the fridge, smiley face. I'll pay you in the morning. That's always the best when you have someone invite you over and they're like, help yourself to anything in the fridge.
No one's ever invited me over.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, normally when people like you, they invite you over.
I think when I was younger, I babysat once.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is stressful because these kids could die, you know?
Did they?
No. Oh. They lived. But I didn't like babysitting. I took a class at the local library to get where they're like, this is how you babysit.
You took a babysitting class?
Yeah. I don't know
Feels
why.
Pretty self-explanatory now.
My parents thought it'd be a good idea. I could, you know, make some money, you know.
Would you bring your certificate over to the house being like, I'm certified?
I don't know. They taught you how to like, you know, if a child chokes on something, how to like smack them in the back. And then I think I had to like wipe a doll with peanut butter on its ass to change a diaper. But I never babysat anyone who was an actual baby. I just
You sure this was actually a class and not just some weirdo? Real. I made sure to follow all the rules. To be honest, I wished I'd never agreed to stay here, but so far Jack had been true to his word. As long as I followed all these strange rules, it'd be fine, surely. Still, the rules were odd. What was this, gremlins?
I was going to make a joke about gremlins earlier, but I thought we talk about movies too much.
Oh, well, then here they are.
They're talking about gremlins.
Nevertheless, I lounged around the house for a few hours and planned on going to sleep around 9, since that was the time all the weird shit would start. At 8:50, I brushed my teeth, using the faucet for the last time before 9. I checked the closet in the hallway and seeing that it was open, I moved my stuff into the library and got ready to sleep on the couch. I locked the doors just in case and laid on the couch, scrolling on my phone. I didn't get any messages from Jack, and I started to think up ridiculous scenarios as to why he had such a strict, peculiar set of rules in his house. I must have dozed off at some point because at exactly 10:16 p.m. I was woken by the doorbell. I was about to get up to check, but then I remembered the rules. Don't open the door for anyone, no matter who they say they are, after 10 p.m. I stayed on the couch, trying not to move, paranoid they would hear me if I made even the slightest shift. It's the police, open up. I didn't move. Hello, it's the police, open up or we're coming in.
That's not how that works, I don't think. You gotta have a warrant. I'd be like, where's your fucking warrant?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Let's see if she says that. I still didn't move, but I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. There was silence for a while after that. Then, the doorbell rang again. Hey, it's Jack, let me in. It sounded like Jack, but still, I didn't get up. He would have a key, wouldn't he? Why would he need me to let him in? I mean, we're not opening this fucking door. He says don't open the door after 10 p.m. no matter who it is.
That includes you, Jack.
It's pretty easy instructions to follow.
This is mirroring what happened earlier, though, when he was like, don't answer the phone, and then he called.
Yeah, doing a little test, a little testaroo. I like it. It's a simple instruction. You can't follow instructions, as crazy as they may be. It's not like he asked you to cover him in peanut butter and lick it off.
No, well, and to be clear, when I took that class, we weren't licking the peanut butter off the baby
It was
dolls.
implied.
No, we wiped it.
It was heavily implied.
It was not heavily implied.
You wiped it with your tongue.
That's not true.
And you smiled while you did it. This continued for almost a full hour. Different people would ring the doorbell, announce themselves, and then disappear when I didn't respond. At this point, I didn't know what to think. Was I being pranked? An elaborate prank without any clear purpose? The gardener never showed, and I was finally able to fall asleep around 2 a.m. When I woke up the next morning, I heard someone in the kitchen. I got up slowly and unlocked the door as quietly as possible, taking my phone with me and walking across the living room to the kitchen. I stopped at the doorway and peered in. It was Jack. He was standing in front of the stove, stirring something as the coffee machine brewed on the counter behind him.
Yay! I'm excited to meet him.
Oh, not so fast.
I'm excited to meet him.
I'm excited to meet him if this is Jack.
They've spent this whole story being like, Jack, Jack, Jack. And I'm over here like, who is he?
Are you at this point, dare I say, maybe even attracted to him? Because you're like, hey, I signed up to be a sugar baby, and I know I didn't want to, do anything at first, but now after doing all this stuff, it's kind of making me like you're playing hard to get almost.
I'm real horny now
because
I went and picked up your wet box. I guess it depends what their communication has been like, If
it's been just like...
you can feel that charge if you're going back and forth. Are they up late at night being like, these are my dreams?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's
probably
more,
not. It seems like he's just like, don't answer the phone. Don't you dare answer the phone. And don't you talk to my gardener.
If he comes, close your eyes.
Yeah, I can't imagine that there's an innate attraction here, but who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. See a man standing on a stove with an apron, some hot coffee brewing, maybe that's enough.
Maybe they're about to have some steamy sex.
Maybe this story will end with a just really long sex scene.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see our beautiful illustrations.
Yeah.
Bring that to life.
She's going to walk in there, he's going to be stirring the coffee with his...
With...
Despite how painful that would probably be.
That'd be quite painful, I think, yeah. Please tell me you need some cream.
Hey, good morning, he said when he saw me. Hi, I replied nervously. It was a shock to see him in person, but he looked exactly like his photos online. Scrambled eggs? He asked, motioning to the pan with a wooden spatula. Sure, thanks, I replied, walking over to take the plate from him like this was a totally normal thing that we did. I ate my eggs and drank some coffee in silence. So how was it? He asked. It was okay, nothing super freaky happened. Glad to hear it, he replied. There was an awkwardness in the room. Or maybe it was just me. No, it was definitely him. I think I'm gonna go now. I have class, I trailed off. I didn't have class today, but I really wanted to get out of there. The vibes were off. Yeah, sure, I'll talk to you soon, he replied. I grabbed my stuff and he walked me to my car. I could see him standing in the driveway, staring as I pulled away.
You gotta be asking some questions.
Well, I mean, you also want to get out of there as soon as possible.
This is a situation where I guess maybe they're not asking questions because they don't want the gravy train to stop pulling into that station,
You like that gravy.
You like that sweet, sweet gravy.
You ever have turkey without gravy?
Yeah.
It's no good.
But so if you jeopardize this relationship, then suddenly you gotta go work at Kinko's or something.
That's true.
Yeah, not fun.
No,
No disrespect to the Kinko's workers out there. Maybe you're having a blast.
They don't have a bunch of people heckling you at your job at Kinko's, though, trying to get in.
I think they get people heckling them at Kinko's.
That's probably true.
It's not a great scene there.
When I got home, I unpacked all my stuff and noticed that I still had the peculiar list of rules. I sat on my bed and read it again. My body tensed when I realized that I had forgotten something. Turn the TV on and let it play on static through the night. Do not forget to do this. Do not forget to do this. Do not forget to do this. I stared at the words on the page until they lost meaning. Beside me, my phone buzzed, snapping me back to reality. It was the $1,000 Venmo from Jack. I looked at my phone and then back at the list. Maybe it wasn't an important rule? As I was thinking this over, a kick message from Jack came in.
My balls exploded.
What the fuck?
I don't know, I'm just trying to think of what could happen.
I just rubbed my face on the television. Doesn't feel like this was on.
Like maybe he made a deal with a genie or something, and the genie was like, okay, but
make sure that television's on.
Otherwise I'm gonna make your balls explode.
And not in a good way. I'm not in town right now. I should be back next week, so you're free from doing me any more favors until then. Just sent the payment. Go do something fun. Smiley face. I stared at the message and read it again. And again. And once more for good measure. I'm not in town right now. I thought back to this morning and how Jack was in his house, how he'd made me breakfast. I'm not in town right now. Within seconds, a new text came in, this time from a number I didn't recognize. Did you forget something?
Oh, you did.
She did forget something. Now she's gonna die. Yeah. The text was followed by a photo. It was Jack, some distorted version of him, standing ominously in front of the TV. Then, another message came in. A second photo. It was from outside my house. So, are you scared? How many of these are gonna end with us trying to figure out what the fuck just happened?
I mean, I'll say this for the creepypasta genre. A lot of it is just, I got this idea for a weird thing, and what if I take these 17 weird ideas I have, and someone witnesses all of them? They all happen to one person, and then I gotta go. Hope you liked it. Bye bye. Maybe I died. And look, we love these stories. They're all really good.
Hey, look, that was really good 99% of the way through.
The thing is, the ride is fun, you know, and then you get off the ride.
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
If you knew you were going to get murdered brutally.
Do I want people to have a little fun with it in this way?
Well, option A, you get murdered brutally.
Okay.
Option B, someone gives you a delicious breakfast, and then you get murdered brutally. I'm going to take option B every time.
I'm going to go with option A.
Wow. You're going to die on an empty stomach.
I'm not a big breakfast guy.
So this story was originally posted on Reddit's subreddit, No Sleep. It has been modified to fit this show, and if you'd like to read the original story, check out the link below. And for those of you who made it, we'll see you next time.
Today's sponsor, MyHeritage, has a promotion right now. Click the link in the description box or scan the QR code and use the coupon code WATCHER for free shipping.
Hey folks, if you want to watch the full season right now, ad-free, along with other bonus content,
then head on over to WatcherTV.com to subscribe to the Watcher TV app and watch all of our content a month early.
Or just continue to tune in here for free on YouTube every Friday.